What comes to mind when I mention the video game company Sucker Punch? The infamous series? Ghosts of Tsushima? Sly Cooper, perhaps? How about a more obscure platformer about a red robot that rides around on one wheel to save a theme park in space that's mascot is a purple walrus? Yep, that's right. Today we'll be talking about Sucker Punch's only Nintendo console release. This is analyzing everything about Rocket Robot on Wheels. Released in November of 1999, Rocket Robot on Wheels would be the first game ever released by the now famed studio Sucker Punch. Rocket is a robot on wheels. Well, one wheel. He's like a sentient unicycle with a tractor beam. He was created and assists Dr. Gavin with Whoopie World, an amusement park themed around Whoopi the Walrus. Dr. Gavin steps away for a night and leaves him in charge. Naturally, Jojo the raccoon kidnaps Whoopi and takes over the park in his own image. You just can't trust those sly raccoons. So it's up to Rocket to rescue Whoopi and get the park back into business as normal by when Dr. Gavin comes back. The game will have you traversing through several themed worlds within this space amusement park ship thing. You'll need to collect the tokens and tickets throughout the game, with the latter being your most necessary collectible. Let's talk about that gameplay. Rocket's a platforming collectathon with a few unique twists. You'll be wheeling around and using your tractor beam to latch onto lights and poles and all sorts of grabbable things. Usually you can tell they're grabbable because they have a little ball at the end, so be prepared to latch onto some balls. You'll find the big draw here is the physics gameplay. This engine seemed way ahead of its time in that regard. Movement feels how it actually would wheeling around, and things like roller coaster carrying momentum when going downward or gliding in a motorcycle function how you'd imagine. These physics offer a good variety of engaging puzzles and fun obstacles to overcome, and couple that with the different vehicles you can snag and ride, you'll have an amusing time. That's the good. The bad is the platforming difficulty is up there. You'll be swinging like Spider-Man in the back warehouse of an old Toys R Us. Yeah, that's about as great as it sounds. You'll find yourself needing to get close to the grabbable stuff to latch on, and generally it's okay, but sometimes you'll miss and you'll hate your life. It's so unforgiving and you'll have to reclimb everything if you were high up. Follow that up with this camera. Now, I'm no stranger to crappy camera controls on the 64, and I don't think these are the worst offender, but a few things irritate the heck out of me. One is the fact the camera's so close to you at all times. Yes, you can zoom in out a little bit, but coming around a corner or entering a small space, it's right on the back of your head again. Not to mention when falling, your character model is essentially off screen as the camera can't keep up with it. All of that comes with the territory of early platformers, and it's something I can look past and finish the game, albeit it is frustrating. But what I can't forgive is this frickin' noise when you move the camera. You'll find yourself adjusting and hearing the same stupid noise basically your entire playthrough. I can't stand it. It's like a fart that's been pitched up and added a phaser effect. And I like farts. Moving past, Rocket himself has a few abilities. Besides wheeling around and the tractor beam, he can jump and, utilizing the tractor beam, pick up and throw items and enemies. Which, by the way, enemies consist of floaty car-like things that come up and zap you, stupid mushrooms that can make you super jump, robo sharks, and these clown type guys that steal whatever you're carrying. They're actually really annoying. Later on, you get upgrades from this random bozo named Tinker that is repairing the place. You get a freeze spray that can freeze enemies and water to create platforms to hop on. Not bad for some sparkly glitter. And you get the ability to slam enemies, sort of like a ground pound, but you can't do it unless you have an enemy in your beam. And finally, a double jump. The double jump and jumping in general is also physics-based. You can't just stop moving and jump and expect to make a long distance. You'll need a wheeling start and you need time to double jump, or else it's wimpy. I found sometimes I'd try to jump, and because of the way I landed on a platform, it would only trigger a wimpy double jump, skipping the first jump entirely. This was the cause of many premature deaths that I felt were undeserved. You'll also get the ability to control some vehicles that are stage-specific, but you get a hot dog car, a hover tank, a beam lift car, dolphin, motorcycle with bat wings, and a tadpole-looking thing. Pretty much all of them are fun. The motorcycle with wings being a standout, and I'd say the beam lift being the worst because it's slow and you can basically do what it does without it. But generally they're fun. And speaking of stages, you'll get some interesting ones. Starting with Whoopi World, which is the main hub, you'll branch out and get Clowny Island, a carnival amusement park. Paint Misbehavin', which is like a Roman art-themed world with paint blasting. Mind Blowing, which is a mineshaft and cart world with tons of bombs and caves. Arabian Flights, which is exactly how it sounds, and you can ride on a magic carpet. A whole new world. Pyramid Scheme, which is like an ancient jungle that transforms into a giant lava world. Food Fright, which is like a crappy Willy Wonka level, and you finish it all off with JoJo's World, where you basically go through an obstacle course to defeat JoJo. All of the worlds have some charm and character to them. Paint Misbehavin' is probably my favorite with its paint blasting and world aesthetic, followed by Pyramid Scheme because of the motorcycle. It's such a sweet vehicle in it, and you get to time travel. Arabian Flights and Food Fright are my two least favorite levels, with the latter completely at the bottom. I just didn't enjoy it with the way it's laid out. Thinking about this game's music, I gotta be honest, there are few memorable tracks, with most of them being serviceable to the world, but not something that'll stick with you. Overall, the soundtrack's just okay. You won't get anything too memorable, and no voiceover or anything like that. It's not something I'm going to be blasting in my car stereo as I'm cruising down the street. The sound effects in general are also serviceable, with the camera noise being very annoying. Seriously, if you remove that, I'd have a better opinion on it, but it's a constant thorn in my side. The basic effects with like the tractor beam and explosions and stuff are good though. Sound exactly how you'd imagine. The overall look and aesthetic of the worlds is probably best described as generic. While the worlds themselves have charm, the overall graphics just feel like a really dated N64 title. And before you say, oh, that's every N64 game, you're wrong. Banjo-Kazooie, DK64, Star Fox, heck, even Mario all have distinct style that is memorable, and Rocket just doesn't have anything that graphically puts it out there. Oh, and the collectibles? This game has a couple extra after you get the requirement of 65 tickets to unlock the last boss, but honestly, it felt like a bit of a drag. I thought I was going to finish the game a while ago, but ended up needing to get another 10 tickets that took a while because some of these tickets are super hard to find. You often don't have prompts and just need to be hyper observant or creative, which can be frustrating or rewarding depending on how you like to play games. For example, I was trying to finish the game and not leisurely trying to 100% it. If you're into that, you'd probably enjoy the challenge. Overall, Rocket Robot on Wheels isn't a bad game, but it's not mind-blowing either. It's got really cool physics that probably is its main selling point. The main character and plot are silly enough that it works, and generally most of the gameplay is solid. It's one I'd recommend you try out if you can find a cart for reasonable prices. It's one of the rarer ones on the console these days. I'm gonna give Rocket Robot on Wheels a 7.5 Pop-Tarts out of 10, and their confetti cupcake due to the amusement park party nature of this game. Feels right. Well, that's all I have for you. If you like this video, be sure to check out some others I've made and drop a like on this one. Until next time, have a good one.